Hello everybody, welcome to a more unconventional video on my end, but I just want to say Pokemon Home compatibility for Legends ZA is finally a thing. So up here, we have, oh, I'm moving something, not in OBS, okay. Here I'm enlarging it, but you guys can see that I've got a spreadsheet. Now, this spreadsheet is full of shiny Pokemon that I have yet or have not yet logged, right? So I'm just gonna put that in the corner, and I actually need to pull up another website. Hold on, let me actually just or as of before Legends ZA came out, I've got about 314 Pokemon in there. So I am just gonna kind of go through real quick, transfer my Mons in, and we'll have a little bit of an updated bit. So that should be fun. So I will be right back whenever home will let me in. Okay, so I just transferred everything in terms of ZA Living Dex over, except for Latios, because I'm still shiny hunting it right now for, a video. But that'll be quick and hopefully within the next couple days. So once this save, I'm gonna go in, take all of these mons back out, and then we finally get to work on just kind of doing the thing and putting our shinies away, because holy crap, we have so many shinies we've got to put up. So whenever it loads, I guess we'll do that. So let's get to it. Alright, after a little bit of, sorting and stuff, we have finally gotten through all of my ZA bits. Maybe besides a couple, just check in. Looks like I just actually have to evolve a couple things, if anything. But yeah, overall, we seem to be pretty darn cool. So if you see the spreadsheet right here, I'm just gonna bring this up. Like I said earlier, this is going to be all of the shinies that I'm still looking for, and I'm still looking for a lot of them. I have 382 in home as of right now. I know that is not an absolute number, because I think I still have some Pokemon on my Scarlet and Violet copies that I've hunted a little while back, like Donphan, for example, I need to add into the dock. And then I've got an extra shiny Eevee I need to evolve into an Espeon, and Wooper and Quagsire as well, that I need to move from my Scarlet version. So, there's a bunch of Pokemon I need to add that I'll add after the video. But now we actually get to go to the main part of the video, is where I show you what I have. So let's remove this, and let's kind of go from the beginning over here, because of course we got to start with Bulbasaur, and we've got a lot of shinies, and over time I've been collecting them. Some of these are going to be from Pokemon Go, and some of them are going to have questionable levels. They are legit at the end of the day. Like, for example, this Charizard I remember getting when shinies were really first starting to be a thing, and then they had shiny Mega Charizard as an event, or well, the chance of getting a shiny Charizard whenever you're trying to catch it. And this was that Charizard, so it was a fun find at the time. And we've got your box 2. This Zubat and Golbat, I know both came from Legends Arceus. I remember because they were in the shiny video. So lots of fun there. A lot of these Pokemon, like I said, did come from the shiny video. Like the Golem that's an alpha. Yeah, that came straight from there. Alakazam, as you know, comes from ZA, so lots of fun. I still have a lot of gaps. Like obviously, I don't have Mew, because Hopefully, maybe we get Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald on Switch at a later point so that we can actually hunt it. I don't have Mewtwo because I've not hunted it yet either. Um, and I am embarrassed to say, but I do not have a shiny Typhlosion, which is crazy seeing how, like, into the Cyndaquil line I am. Like, it's honestly a shame. But we've got a bunch of Pokemon, and it's a lot of fun. Um, we've got this Umbreon from Pokemon Go. That's pretty sweet. Yeah. I'm excited to use some of these in like champions as well, like Porygon 2, for example. Oh, can't wait. We got Schmeargle. That's gonna be a fun one to use. I wonder how they're gonna let us train it up though. This probably gonna have to put it back into like Scarvy and then do all the training from there. So and like I said, I do have a Dawn fan I need to bring in, so I'll do that after I upload this video. I don't have all the Hoenn starters yet. I need to hunt, Blaziken and then Grovyle, Sceptile, and I don't have any of the Johto legendaries yet. I do want to hunt Celebi in Pokemon Crystal, and then in Fire Red Leaf Green, you can actually go to Naval Rock and capture Ho-Oh or Lugia. So I think those would be pretty cool hunts to do on there as well. So we'll just have to get to that point, of course. Nothing much on this screen. I'm not gonna lie. Some of these boxes, don't exactly have a lot of shinies, but every single box for the shiny decks, besides the um 1020 to 1025, uh obviously you can't get any of those shinies yet, so it's a blank box, but that's the only one that you can't fill. So but yeah, a lot of these Gen 3 shinies. This if I remember correctly, this Flygon was actually the first Dynamax Adventure shiny that I got in the game. And it was actually the first shiny in the Sword and Shield era that I got. So that's a lot of fun. I think the Sharpedo also comes from there. Yeah, it also comes from Dynamax Adventures. So lots of fun. This is that Rosalia that Bupio wanted me to get. Because I wanted to shiny hunt something in her honor for making me the spectacular shiny hunting video and a lot of my other Pokemon thumbnails. Not much going on in here. This Altaria is actually from Ultra Sun and Moon, from the Ultra Warp Ride. That's also why you can see my dead name. Um, I remember I used to get so many of those Warp Red shinies, and no legendaries ever came out of it. So that's a lot of fun. This Latias is actually from ZA, as you can see the little symbol. I've been shiny hunting them, and I did mention earlier that I'm still hunting Latios right now, so I technically have not completed the ZA decks yet. This Rayquaza is from a Terra Raid event in Scarvy, because hey, if it's a free shiny legendary, I'm gonna take it. So heck yeah. Also, here's Linky's favorite. I forgot I nicknamed him like that. Here's Linky, Linky 2, and Linky Tree. All for my friend Linky, who just absolutely adores the Turtwig line. Shout out to her. She's awesome. She's also a spectacular artist. Does a lot of Himiko, Toga, and Uravity art on Twitter. So heck yeah. We've got a lot more Gen 4 Mons. Gen 4, I believe, is one of the only generations where I have completed the starter line. There might be another one or two. I don't remember exactly. Also, fun fact, right? So the Gibble line, I've completed on accident, right? I never hunted any of the Gibble line. So, this is an extra Garchomp, but the playthrough Garchomp I have in my ZA save file, which you guys might have seen it a couple times in my shiny video, um, is actually an alpha Garchomp from the Alabaster Icelands. It's that static spawn that can spawn. And it was also the first Arceus shiny I found in that game. I found it at college. I was waiting on a class to start, so I was like, might as well progress through the game. And I took on Avalugg, and it just appeared, and it was really cool. So, heck yeah! And then there's that Chatot. I remember that was a little bit of a hellish stream. So lots of fun. And again, like you see, a lot of these have the go symbol. A lot of the ones that you see that have the go symbol are from like community days. I remember I was actually moving back in 2020. It was like October, because I was moving closer to my high school, and there was a weekend where it was like a community weekend where it was Magmar and Electabuzz at the same time, so you could get the both of these at around the same time. And oh my gosh, look at that Electivire! I never realized it was so low. Holy crap! This Rotom comes from ZA, and I have a funny little tale about that. So I didn't get this Rotom until about 2 or 3 nights ago, because I had been rotating through the special scans mostly for the legendary scans, um, but also collect my Pokedex. I could not find Rotom for the life of me. I could find everything else but Rotom, and I finally found it. And I, as one does, you put down a backup save, that way you can check it, see if it's ideal. But I was like, I want to hunt a Rotom, so I made a the first donut that had all types, or ghost or electric, I took. So, and yeah. Ooh, now I get to really talk about some shinies, because the Unova era is a really important era in my shiny hunting. Not really shiny hunting, more like shiny collecting. So this Purloin, it's not the original Purloin. This is actually a reclaim Purloin. Very unintentional reclaim as well, right? So back when Pokemon Black and White came out, I was a dumb, stupid, idiot child, and I was given Pokemon Black for my birthday. I remember I started it. I'm playing with my friends, and I find a shiny Purloin. I'm like, hey, that's really freaking cool. And later in the day, as we're playing, because I think it was close to a weekend, and I go into the tunnel after the first gym, and I find a shiny Rugged Rolla, which I also reclaimed recently, last year. But yeah, eventually I lost that cartridge of Pokemon Black, and I was pretty miffed about it. So a couple years later, I would buy another copy, a used copy from GameStop. So obviously, I kept all the Pokemon from that save, and I was just playing through because I wanted to play through it just for fun. And it being, I think it was, I don't know if this Purloin has the correct date. Also, I'm assuming that's Flint that just joined the call.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 2019. I got this in 2019. This was a, oh yeah, because I got this cartridge the night after my birthday, and I played through it, and I found this Purloin in the exact same tile. So very good birthday reclaim. So that's really cool. I'm glad I still have it now, because I thought I lost it for a while. It would be crazy if I had to reclaim a shiny again. And then Lipard was actually my first ZA DLC shiny, so that was really cool. But the Roggenrola, by the way, is not going to be in the living dex, because I'm actually using it in my Pokemon White playthrough right now. So I'm gonna have to hunt the entire line again, anyways. So lots of fun. We have two of the monkeys. I do want to hunt the rest of them at some point. Probably, I probably won't make a video on it, but these guys are a pretty special bunch of Pokemon. Since ZA is the first game where you can hunt these guys. Same with the Patrat family, so that's a lot of fun. We've got Zorua here, who was one of my earlier Alola game hunts. There is actually a video out there of me finding this, and then also a Baniri that I found shortly after, so lots of fun there. Let's see. Is there anything else important? This Klinklang came from an egg in Pokemon Go, so that's a lot of fun. And the Stunfisk is also an Usum Warp Ride Pokemon, so lots of fun. And then we have the three Swords of Justice Musketeers Mons. I got these in ZA because if there's a way to get Pokemon easy, I'm gonna do it. So I have those. I've got Landorus from Go because the Unova tour was happening and they had a global event where you had like 10 legendary encounters and they all had really high shiny rates. And I've got two Pokemon Go accounts, so I had 20 chances. So I got a Landorus and I think I got two Genesect from it. Yeah, this Genesect obviously was from there. So, I got a Landorus and a Genesect from it, at least for the decks. Heck yeah. This line, the Chespin line, I got from a Christmas shiny hunting event a while back, with a bunch of other creators. It was a lot of fun. You can probably find my VODs on that from I think 2014. So or 2014? Yeah, 2014. No, 2024. Oh my god. Hello? I'm going crazy. This Fennekin was found in Scarvy, but Braixen and Delphox were from a community day in Pokemon Go. Look at that level on this Delphox, by the way. Flint already knows the story, but yeah, lowest possible Delphox you can get, and I have it, so that's really cool. This bundle or this Diggersby is actually the first shiny I found in ZA, and there's actually a VOD reaction. And I guess you can also see it in my shiny video. But yeah, hardly an hour in, it's my second time in Zone 1, and I just find a shiny Bunnelby that I evolve into a Diggersby. So, heck yeah. Also, this Meloetta is from the home reward for Scarvy. So, yeah, they're really cool. Obviously, you get a bunch of the Talonflame line in ZA. As you can see, I've got a ZA copy of the entire line, but these guys are actually from Pokemon Home, so or Pokemon Go, so that's a lot of fun. I've got the ZA DLC Vivillon pattern, so that's a lot of fun. Um, the Flabébé line, Skidoo, Pancham, and Litleo and Esper are all from Zone 3, the good old exploit you can do, so that's a lot of fun. We've got Inkay and Malamar, a lot of other Pokemon. The Gudra lines from a raid event. This Halucha is named Pulse Effects because it was just a random Halucha I found. Lots of fun. And then, we got your Alola Mons. I don't have a lot of them. As you can see, I do have Naganadel, which was the first ever on-purpose hunt I did with the Usum games. And I got the Poipole in 41 encounters, and there is a YouTube video out there of me getting it. And I thought it was so friggin' cool. So lots of fun there. I need to hunt another Poipole at some point so I get, so that I have both of them. So lots of fun. Zeraora from 2020 in Sword and Shield. Finally, I can actually put up my ZA Zera aura so that I complete my regular living dex. So that's a lot of fun there. Not a lot for Galar shinies. You know, it's slowly being filled out. I've got Eternatus from an event. I missed Zacian and Zamazenta, so you know, one of these days they'll release it and I'll get it again. I've got a couple of the Hisui Mons and then Enamorous from Home Rewards. Lots of fun there, you know. I've also been, you know, doing some uh, Scarvy breeding, you know, Masuda methoding. If you guys have seen my shorts, like my Pokemon egg shorts, these guys are what I'm going for right now. I'm getting real close with completing them too. I just need Crocolore and Skeledirge, so you know, one of these days I'll complete it. Um, let's see. This Toad's Cruel, because for some reason I forget the name of, is named after V. V's a very good content creator friendo of mine. Also does Pokemon related stuff. Um, I was like, hey, you know, you want to do a little bit of a voice line for my shiny video? And she was like, heck yeah, what do I have to say? And I was like, um, here's this line from SpongeBob. You want to just do a funny bit for it? And she's like, heck yeah. And so she did, and you know, Toad's Cool before I evolved it just kind of popped up on my screen and it was really funny. So we've got more shinies here as well. And then, you know, you gotta have your brute bonnets and all that. I still need to hunt Don Dozo, and I'm glad I have the Nintendo Switch 2 now so that I can, you know, actually hunt it without issue. Because I do want to hunt it in Scarvy, because, you know, I feel like that's where I should hunt it from. I do have, you know, the Frigibax line. I do have Shiny Gimmighoul and Shiny Golden Go from the second wave of raids they had. I grinded the hell out of that. And then, you know, ZA releases, and then a couple months later, its DLC releases, and you're able to hunt Golden Go really easily in there. So that's a lot of fun. Thanks, Nintendo. Um, And then we have the Ruinous Quartet, which, you know, during Worlds 2025, they had raid events and then mystery gifts with, you know, real easy. You could get a lot of Urban Mystica from them at the time. So I remember I was grinding the hell out of those guys for the 2 months they were available. So, and then we have the Scarvy box legendaries with the most scuffed GameStop event that I had ever like participated in. I remember going to, it was about like 4 or 5 different GameStops in my area. None of them had codes because of the fact that they were limited by Nintendo. So eventually I ended up reaching out to GameStop over support email and Twitter DMs just so I could get a code for one of each, which is crazy to think about. This Archaludon and a Knackley earlier in the Paldean Dex were actually for 2 different Minecraft videos I made, like almost 2 years ago now. Where I wanted to do a survival series where I built a Pokemon themed structure in every episode. I don't think I have the world anymore, but I remember it was a lot of fun building the Archaludon bridge because you know it's just a bridge. So and then you know the one the 1021 the 1025 you know I don't have, so you know that's my shiny tour, and you know I do have a lot more shinies than that, you know, like you know your dupes shinies. And then of course, you know, I've got forums as well and all that. Is this actually, oh yeah, this is the Garchomp from the Alabaster Icelands. um I've got so many friggin' shinies. If I do list and then let's sort, let's do Nat Dex and then filter. Can I? Let's do shiny. If I just do this, you can just see all of the shinies and all of the dupes of shinies I have. It's actually insane. So, eventually one of these days I will be able to, complete um the living decks, and that'll be a really cool time when I can. So, if you guys enjoyed, this is a little bit of a different video, and hopefully I can do like little updates or whatever. So, yeah, if you guys enjoyed, subscribe, like, and comment. Go say hi to Flint Flint in the comments for me, I guess. I don't know. And y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.